WFM 91.7.
A beautiful morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and, of course, joining us this morning. It's an amazing morning, a Wednesday morning at that. I hope that you're feeling great today. You're doing well. This is about 7 minutes after 10 today. All right, so hoping that your day started up on a very good note. Well, for me, it started up on a very good note, but it's just that, some of these public transport people wanted to show me something today, but no, I passed them. I refuse for them to let me I refuse for them to spoil my day. All right, I sincerely refuse it. So I just had to leave all of that all behind and come to you, as much because you are part of the the thing that makes me happy all day. All right, so thank you all so much for tuning in. This is Women Radio WFM 91.7, Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. So thank you all so much once again for joining us. You're welcome to the program Radio Doctor, your free health consultation program where real doctors advise real people. Radio Doctor is Nigeria's first specialized health program where medical doctors consult for free and advise on radio, on your Women Radio. All right, Radio Doctor comes to you every day of the week, Mondays through Fridays, 10 to 11 a.m. All right, so today is General Health on Radio Doctor, and General Health today is supported by Zenith Pharmaceutical. All right, you're welcome to Radio Doctor once again. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and today on Radio Doctor we have Dr. Alozie Ndubuka, a medical director at St. Ives Family Hospital. Good morning, Dr. Ndubuka.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you too?
I'm doing very good.
Oh, that's good to hear. How's the running around with patients, seeing one patient to the other? How's that been for you since last week?
Well, everything's been all right. My only problem is the Nigerian roads.
Oh.
The roads are so terrible these days. So many potholes. No?
Yeah.
I wish those roads were patients also. We can catch them up.
Oh, Dr. Ndubuka. If wishes were horses, honestly, if only wishes were horses. All right, Dr. Ndubuka, it's good to have you on the show today. And of course, Dr. Ndubuka will be consulting and advising on the importance of communication in medical practice. Yes, underline the word communication. Now, without communication, I don't think we'll be able to get anything done at all in this world. So the more you're able to communicate, to express yourself, I think the better for the next person or, the available person listening to you. So, communication is key in whatever you want to do. So today we'll be looking at the importance of communication in medical practice, because I know most times when you go to see the doctor asks you, how are you feeling? You say, doctor, I'm just feeling one kind. What is one kind? All right, I just hope that Nigerians will definitely move away from that. All right, so yes, today Dr. Ndubuka is here in the house. He'll be consulting and advising on the importance of communication in medical practice. All right, so the phone lines to be a part of the conversation today is 07000 917 917. Send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. You can go ahead and be a part of today's Radio Doctor by visiting our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, X, and of course YouTube at WFM 917. Download our mobile app www.wfm917.com. Log on to our website, all right, at www.wfm917.com, and then download our mobile app at WFM 917. All right, so those are the different means you can get in touch with us this morning on Radio Doctor, and of course to Women Radio. Okay, so let's get on to it this morning. General Health today on Radio Doctor is supported by Zenith Pharmaceutical. All right, so just stay with us. I'll be right back.
Malaria, a double punch of Cortesonate and Pamodiac Queen. An effective combination that Camosunate. There's anti-malaria therapy. Camosunate. And you will bounce back to life. Camosunate. Comes in 4 different packs, 4 different age groups. Below 1 year, 1 to 6 years. 7 to 13 years, 14 and above.
Camosunate, effective anti-malaria for all ages. Marketed by Zenith Pharmaceuticals Limited.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read the leaflet inside.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're welcome back to Radio Doctor. And of course, we have Dr. Alozie Ndubuka with us this morning, and we are looking at the importance of communication in medical practice. All right, Dr. Ndubuka, let's get straight onto it now. Let me start with by asking this question. Now, kindly explain or tell us what it means, to have a clear communication in relation to medicine. What does that mean, to have a very clear communication in terms of medicine?
Today the topic is quite interesting, and one of the reasons why we decided to go on this topic today is basically because I have seen from practice that many centers, not just in Nigeria, but even outside Nigeria, do not communicate effectively with their patients. And this seems to be getting worse with the new sets of doctors that we are having, with the much younger doctors being produced around. Where these doctors are well taught on medical topics and skills, but the effectiveness of communication between that doctor and the patient is usually poor. Then secondly, over the past 1-2 decades, the relationship between a doctor and his or her patient has gradually moved from almost master-servant relationship to a relationship of partners. In the olden days, for example, as a child, I remember visiting my grandmother in the village, and my grandmother preparing to go see a doctor. And she was a bit fidgety in the sense that she wanted to make sure that in her interactions with the doctor that she kept the doctor happy and pleased. Happy and pleased, so that the doctor will attend to her well. But that is no longer seen as proper now. The doctor and the patient are supposed to be partners with one common aim, and that common aim is the well-being of the patient. So here, communication comes in very important. Communication skills are very essential now between medical practice, as in medical practice. I like describing medicine, the practice of medicine. I like describing medicine as a marriage between the arts and the science. So medicine has an art part and a science part.
Okay.
The art part actually deals a lot with how you deal with your patient, how you interact with your patient. While the scientific aspect is that knowledge, that medical knowledge that you have, which you will use to improve the symptoms and cure indeed the disease of your patient. So now, communication here is a two-way traffic.
Okay.
As I stated, there is a traffic between the patient on one hand and the doctor on the other hand. Now, many patients, when they come to the hospital, many times, especially in our time, Nigeria, where there's almost a taboo in coming to hospital. Hospital is seen as a place of the sick or the infirm. So you see people many times sneaking into a hospital, not wanting relatives or friends to know that it's a hospital. So these people come in with some level of trepidation. And because of that, see him or her. Even if your time is up, because I mean, we all have a work schedule.
Yeah.
And if you find that maybe the doctor who is leaving at 5 p.m. and it's already 10 minutes past 5, such a doctor may not really feel too happy seeing a new patient at 10 minutes past 5 since it's already his closing time. But keep that displeasure hidden from the patient and welcome the patient as if he or she has made your day by coming. When you, as human beings, we are psychological beings. When you feel welcomed to a place, you are more likely to be relaxed because that place becomes a part of you. So when the doctor gives you a welcoming environment, you're more likely to open up to the doctor. And as patients, when you go to see your doctor, I want you to know that it is very important not to keep any information from the doctor. Many patients say, "Oh, doctor might be embarrassed if I talk about this or I talk about that." And I say this particularly when it comes to problems of the genitalia. And many patients feel uncomfortable discussing that because they might feel that is so embarrassing. But I always assure my patients that no matter how bad you think your complaint is, no matter how embarrassing you feel your condition is, that I, your doctor, have most likely seen conditions that are far worse and far more embarrassing than your own. So we are no longer going to be shocked by whatever you say. I've had a patient who walked in because of a case of erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction simply means not being able to have and sustain an erection that is adequate enough for sexual intercourse. And this patient, obviously coming in because of that complaint, he felt a bit embarrassed having to let me know. And this is me, a fellow man. Can you imagine how such a patient would feel if it was a female doctor that was attending to him? So he felt uncomfortable letting me know what his complaint was. So how did he start? He started beating around the bush. Or I sometimes have headache. Or my leg sometimes itches me. But as a doctor looking at him, it was obvious to me that this man was just scratching the surface. That he had not come to what had brought him to the hospital. So it was very obvious. And what I tried to do was to guide him gradually towards what his complaint was. And to make him feel comfortable, I pointedly told him, "Oh, sir, I know you have not told me what the major problem is. Feel free, tell me. Okay, I'm not going to write on the case notes, at least not yet. Let us talk man to man." And that was when he was able to open up and told me, "Oh, look, I've been having this problem, or so and so." And with that, we were able to now establish a foothold on how the interview, how to conduct this interview to find out exactly the genesis of his problem and also what solution we can provide to his problem. So that requires not just skill but also patience on the part of the doctor.
Yeah.
So you need patience with your patient, right? So now on the part of the doctor, being able to communicate well with your patient puts the patient at rest before you, and also develops in that patient a trust for you, the doctor. It's very, very important that as doctors, when we talk to our patients, we ask questions, both questions, superficial and indeed probing questions. One of the things I do to my patients is that sometimes when I want to ask those very private questions, which deals in which the patient might regard as intruding on his or her privacy.
Yeah.
I start by apologizing to the patient that I'm about to ask some questions that might be embarrassing to him or her. And this apology to the patient prepares him or she for this. First and foremost, he or she is not expecting an apology, and they doesn't understand why doctor who has not done anything bad to him or her is first apologizing. And that takes him off guard and makes him or her relax more and open up to the question and give you right answers. Now, when you probe the complaint of the patient and you probe the complaint in such a way that any additional problem with the patient would have will be revealed to you as a doctor. What are you doing? What you're doing is you are increasing the chances of effective treatment for that patient. You're increasing the chances by far.
Yeah.
So now, having spoken to that, having met what we call it clacking, having clacked your patient by asking the appropriate questions, one of the things doctors do is they invite you for an examination. There was a time in Nigeria when the issue of examination, most doctors started disregarding it. You just talk to your patient, you write prescription, and the patient goes. But there has been a reawakening of the importance of examination of patients, no matter how direct or how sure you are that their complaints and interview will guide you to the right diagnosis. It's always very important to examine the patient. And for a patient to feel relaxed for you to examine, what doctors usually do is to take permission from the patient, explain to the patient what you want to examine and why you have to examine that. It has been generally seen that people, no matter how literate or illiterate the person is, generally respond well when you tell them the reason why you want to do a particular thing, and when you politely seek their permission to do a particular thing, they usually respond well.
Sure.
Because within every human being, lies an ego. Within every human being lies some level of self-pride. Yes, some people have been battered by the society so much so that they seem so meek. But within them, within even those so-called meek ones, lies that self-pride that could rebel against you if you do not approach the patient in a respectful manner. So, you, as a doctor, take time to explain. After explaining to this patient, the patient grants you permission and you examine the patient, explaining as you do so what you are finding. So, then one other very important aspect of communication with your patient is when it comes to diagnosis. You have listened to this patient, you've examined the patient, you've probably conducted a number of investigations on the patient, and you are now looking at the results and you are making your diagnosis. You have to let your patient know, one, how you arrived at the diagnosis, and two, it's important that the treatment options that you are choosing for this patient has to be properly broken down, and that's where communications come into place. You have to let the patient, why you are giving drug A instead of drug B. And this is important because, here in Nigeria, we have cases of patients coming to their hospital, and after you give them drugs, they go home, and their friends or relatives who have no knowledge of medicine will tell them, this drug they give you, this drug no good. This drug is doing it? Why don't you use this other drug? And you'll be surprised. These patients may abandon the drugs that they've been given and go and use the drug that their friends and relatives had prescribed for them, even knowing quite well that their friends and relatives have no knowledge of medicine at all. So that's why it's important to explain to them. And one of the things I do in to foster that communication is by letting the patient know that, look, when you get home, it's possible one or two friends might urge you to take some other thing. But you should be mindful of the fact that these friends who are urging you to take some other things are not trained in medical school. Some of them, they have no medical knowledge whatsoever. And by not having that, they do not have that that knowledge to guide you medically. But one example I usually give is I let my patient know that, look, if you have an electrical problem at home, you are not likely going to call your tailor to come and fix the problem. You are likely going to call an electrician. So why subject yourself to implementing advice, medical advice given to you by a non-medical person? So that is it. So providing explaining treatment options to this patient mainly will make them more likely to take your drugs. And in explaining these treatment options, it's also important to mention possible complications. Possible complications, and also invite the patient for follow-up care. So when you say this, the patient will listen. If someone understands why drug A was given to him or her, that person is more likely to take that drug A religiously than if he or she does not understand why drug A was given. And as patients also, it is important that you ask questions. Ask questions. Gone are the day when doctors used to be angry when you ask them too many questions.
That's true.
The modern day doctor practicing in the modern day world will be happy to take your question. So you should be able to ask questions of anything you are not clear about. And you should also be able to probe the doctor. Even questioning the doctor's doctor, are you sure this treatment will work? I know probably to some much older colleagues of mine, that question might sound rather challenging. And you know the Nigerian concept of, oh, are you teaching me my work?
Very true. Very true.
It's the right of your patient to know whether you are sure of what you are doing. So when a patient questions your diagnosis, it does not, as a doctor, belittle you. But if a patient questions my diagnosis, what that tells me is that I probably have to do some more work to explain to this patient why that diagnosis is accurate. But then, even after doing this work, I want you to know, as patients listening out there, even after the doctor, no matter how good the experience is, has attended to you, it is your right. It is indeed your right to seek for a second opinion. It's your right to politely tell the doctor, I don't really believe the diagnosis you've made. Can I seek a second opinion? And a good doctor will encourage that. That's part of communication.
Okay.
So when your patient says that, yes, indeed, that you are not offended by his or her desire to seek a second opinion, or his or her questioning your diagnosis, that patient is more likely to believe you. And when it comes to questioning a diagnosis, we are all human beings, and as human beings, we don't like hearing bad news.
Yeah.
If a patient comes and your diagnosis is, oh, you have cancer, the patient, the first reaction is denial. Oh, doctor, that can be true. Or a patient comes and you tell the patient that, oh, look, the laboratory studies that that I've just reviewed now shows that you have HIV. Nobody wants to hear that he has HIV.
Of course.
So the patient's first reaction is likely going to be, no, doctor, that's not possible. How can I have HIV? Your lab must be faulty. So when I tell my junior colleagues in medicine that when patients talk like this, don't feel offended. Don't feel that the person is challenging your competence. No. Try and explain to the patient. And when the patient still do not believe you, it is your duty as a doctor to politely tell the patient, remind the patient that he or she has the right to a second opinion. And that second opinion could be taken either from within the same hospital or from another hospital. And from experience, I've seen that when patients go out and seek a second opinion, and sees that that second opinion is same opinion as yours, such a patient is more likely in nature to believe you and would actually become fanatically attached to you. So much so that wherever you go to, the patient wants to see you. So these are some of the things we see in medical practice, which is why we encourage good communication skills. And these days in medical school, medical teachers are encouraged to teach students how to communicate with patients. A doctor sees, a good doctor will see every contact with his or her patient as an opportunity, not just to treat the patient, but indeed as an opportunity to educate the patient.
Okay.
Educate the patient, because this patient, is coming to you from a background, from a non-medical background. So you need to educate him or her, enlighten him as to what his disease condition is,
Yes.
what the consequences of not receiving treatment could be, and indeed what the advantages of taking and adhering to treatment is. Once the patient knows this, the patient will more likely be a good patient than one who is not good.
Okay.
So as we go on today, we're going to talk about things like some of the techniques, counseling techniques, which the doctor could apply, and also what some of the questions the patient should ask the doctor to be able to understand what his or her ailment is and what treatment best suits him or her.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ndubuka, for giving us a breakdown of how important communication is in terms of patient and doctor relationship. This is Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the program Radio Doctor.
An effective combination that Camosunator. There's anti-malaria therapy. And you will bounce back to life. Comes in 4 different packs for different age groups. Below 1 year, 1 to 6 years, 7 to 13 years, 14 and above. Camosunator.
Camosunate, effective anti-malaria for all ages. Marketed by Zenith Pharmaceuticals Limited.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read the leaflet inside.
All right, thank you for staying with us right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. This is the program Radio Doctor. All right, this is your free health consultation program where real doctors advise real people. This is Nigeria's first specialized health program where medical doctors consult for free and advise on radio. On Women Radio right here, and this comes to you every Mondays through Fridays 10 to 11 a.m. Now today General Health on Radio Doctor is supported by Zenith Pharmaceutical. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and of course I have Dr. Alioden Dubuka, Medical Director at St. Ives Family Hospital, with us this morning, consulting and advising on the importance of communication in medical practice. Now, to be a part of the program, you can dial 07000 917 917, send a text or a WhatsApp message to 070 317 56537. All right, so those are the numbers to get in touch with us this morning. Dr. Ndubuka is here with us, and of course, he would love to hear from you, maybe your experience, and maybe your thoughts or your concerns in terms of communicating with a doctor. Have you gone to a hospital somewhere and you didn't understand the kind of communication you had with the doctor, and maybe you were trying to ask further question, the doctor was saying, please madam, don't teach me my job, because Dr. Ndubuka actually spoke about that, and these are things we cannot rule out as we go ahead to see doctors in different hospitals. All right, do want to call us up on 07000 917 917. Yes, like I said, Dr. Ndubuka is here with us, and he is consulting and advising on the importance of communication in medical practice.
Malaria, a double punch of Protestanate and Pneumonia Queen. An effective combination that Camosunate. Camosunate is anti-malaria therapy. Camosunate, and you will bounce back to life. Camosunate comes in 4 different packs, 4 different age groups. Below 1 year, 1 to 6 years, 7 to 13 years, 14 and above. Camosunate.
Camosunate, effective anti-malaria for all ages. Marketed by Zenith Pharmaceuticals Limited.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read the leaflet inside.
All right, you're welcome back to Radio Doctor, 20 minutes to the top of the hour, 11. Okay, so let's head on and hear from Dr. Ndubuka. Now, you mentioned techniques to communication when it comes to patient-doctor relationship. Now, let us know the techniques to this, and then you would also help us to understand maybe some of the challenges that there is in communication. In terms of facing doctors and all of that, and, all health care practitioners, because at the end of the day, it's not just even about doctors alone. You hear a lot of people complaining that, I don't think this nurse understood what I was saying. I don't think this nurse understood the instructions of the doctor, or I don't think we really understand ourselves here, and all of that. So I want to believe that all this actually goes a long way also to talk more on everyone involved in the medical practice. So, Dr. Ndubuka, let us know, help us understand the techniques to this communication in terms of doctor-patient relationship, not just with the doctors, but with other medical practitioners too.
Yes, the issue of relationships between those you serve and yourself, it's usually a problem within both Nigeria and many other African countries.
Yeah.
You see that a lot with the way our politicians engage us when they are in power. Most times they lord it over you. And that problem is seen across the board. Anytime you see somebody in some form of authority, you see the policeman on the road, he looks down on the ordinary person and feels, he can use his uniform to intimidate you. You see the soldier on the road, and the soldier looks at you as a bloody civilian. So you see another group of people who have some form of authority. That's the medical doctor. And avoiding this, there was always that conception, that misconception that, look, as your doctor,
Okay.
The world has progressed beyond that. In the Western world, for example, a politician and indeed the public office holder, no matter who you are, whether you're the president or so, first and foremost sees himself as a servant to serve the people.
Yeah.
The policeman, no matter when attending to a known criminal, will address you in a polite way, using words like sir or ma'am. The military man knows that it is his duty to protect you and not to intimidate you. And indeed, the doctor over there recognizes that he is first and foremost your servant. And that is true. As doctors, we have been trained to serve the people, to serve you and to guide you on the right path to health. So, a doctor, in meeting you, must first and foremost observe certain things. He has to first try to build a relationship with you, the patient. And building a relationship, I don't mean that he must be your friend who will come and visit you at home. No. He has to build a relationship of equals. Yes, you are the patient, but the doctor has to let you know that you and him are equal at this stage because you are partners. And when you are partners tend to operate better than subordinate and boss. So there is nobody that's a boss in this game. You are your doctor's partner. So the doctor has to first of all build that relationship with you. Then the doctor has to open a discussion with you regarding the complaints you have brought. And in opening this discussion, one of the doctor's key aims is to gather information from you. He will gather this information by asking questions of the complaints you have laid before him. Some of these questions might be probing, some might be private, but what he's trying to achieve by asking you these questions is to understand your complaint better. And it is very important that you, as the patient, should provide truthful answer. The doctor, in asking some of these questions, is not being judgmental of your social or religious life. He's not being judgmental. As a doctor, he has been trained to disregard whatever feelings, whatever negative feelings he might feel about you as a person, and to focus more on trying to get you well. And that is why a doctor can treat an armed robber without actually without feeling bad, because he has detached himself from that revulsion he might feel towards the armed robber and focus more on getting that armed robber well. So the doctor, having gathered information from you with the aim of understanding, in gathering this information, he seeks basically to understand the perspective of the patient. And that is why the patient needs to be very clear. Because if I want to understand where you are coming from, what's your perspective, what is this? You are giving me information that is inaccurate. This inaccurate information could bias the doctor into diagnosis that might not be as accurate as it should have been. So, and during this interview session, during this meeting with your doctor, it's an opportunity to share information. What do I mean by sharing information? You, the patient, you are sharing information about your well-being, about how you have felt. Oh, doctor, this tummy ache has been going on for 4 days, and each time it comes, I feel the urge to use the loo. I go and my disease is watery. Eh, this headache does not allow me sleep. That's sharing information. Then on the part of the doctor, sharing information with you will be telling you that, oh, look, these drugs I'm writing for you, you have to take them 2 times a day, not 3 times a day.
Okay.
This is the diagnosis I'm making of you, and I make this diagnosis because I believe that the headache you talked about could be coming because your blood pressure is going up. So these are information the doctor is sharing with you. You have shared your information, he is also sharing your information. And the resultant effect of this effective sharing of information is that at the end of the day, the patient and the doctor reaches an agreement on what the problem, what the diagnosis is, and what plans on how to implement the plans for treatment.
Okay.
And this agreement is very, very important because once the patient believes that yes, that you have given adequate information and that you have given him or her the opportunity to participate in making that decision as to how he or she is going to be treated, that patient is more likely to adhere to treatment plan and make sure that that he or she obeys all the doctor's directives regarding the treatment. And by so doing, that patient will definitely find closure to the disease and get better with time. And this is especially important, especially when you are dealing with chronic conditions. These are conditions that are going to require treatment for a long period of time. Conditions like hypertension, conditions like diabetes, and even conditions like cancer, various cancers. Now, people tend to get tired of treatment. I've seen people who will come to me and say, oh, doctor, this blood pressure, I'm tired of it now. I've been on blood pressure drugs for the past 3 years and I'm still being told to take. The reason why such a person is making that complaint is probably because such a person had not been adequately schooled and indeed educated on why he or she needs to be permanently on medication for the blood pressure. That person has not been made to understand thoroughly the actual physiology of hypertension. That's what causes hypertension and why it has no cure, primary hypertension, and why he or she needs to be on drugs and what these drugs do to the body and what the dangers are if he or she stops the drugs. If time had been taken to adequately explain to the patient, and the patient had also asked questions that have been disturbing him or her, then the issue of compliance will be better assured. That such a person will more likely be more consistent in taking his or her drugs.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ndubuka, for giving us an explanation on that. All right, this is Women Radio WFM 91.7.
Give malaria a double punch of Protestanate and Pneumonia Queen. An effective combination that Camosunate. Camosunate. There's anti-malaria therapy. Camosunate. And you will bounce back to life. Camosunate. Comes in 4 different packs for different age groups. Below 1 year, 1 to 6 years, 7 to 13 years. Comes in and above. Camosunate.
Camosunate, effective anti-malaria for all ages. Marketed by Janet Pharmaceuticals Limited.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read the leaflet inside.
Thank you all so much for staying with us right here on Radio Doctor, your free health consultation program. Where real doctors advise real people. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and of course, we have Dr. Alozian Dobuka, Medical Director of St. Ives Family Hospital, with us this morning, and he's consulting and advising on the importance of communication in medical practice. All right, so our time is fast spent, Dr. Ndobuka. So just quickly, maybe in a minute or two, give us your advice in terms of communication, from the patient's view also, and from the doctor's point of view. So what would you want us to achieve at the end of the day? So just in a minute or two.
Yes, thank you for asking me this as my closing statement. Now, from the side of the doctor should realize that good communication skills are an asset in medical practice, and that effective communication will win for the physician the confidence and compliance of the patient, and also helps to build a healthy doctor-patient relationship. On the part of the patient should realize that opening up more to your doctor helps the doctor understand more your complaint, and also helps the doctor make a more accurate diagnosis, which at the end of the day will lead to a proper treatment for whatever ailment you have gone for. So your doctor should be your confidant. You should feel free to open up to your doctor. Let your doctor understand how you feel and what you are thinking about. So both of you will be a team, and teams are more likely to win matches than individuals. And that is my final word. And I wish everyone the best as you go see your doctor anytime you're sick.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Alozie Ndobuka, for being a part of Radio Doctor today. We really do appreciate you talking to us about, so I didn't even know how important this is until, this topic came up today. I'm like, okay, I really want to understand, because sometimes you go, doctors are prescribing drugs for you, and you're wondering, doctor, please, what are these drugs for? And you are scared to ask, so thank you very much for clearing our minds on that. Thank you, Dr. Ndobuka.
Thank you for having me. Thank you indeed.
All right. Do have a great day and enjoy the rest of the week with your patients, sir.
And so do you studio. Okay.
All right. Thank you. All right, so that is Dr. Alozie Ndobuka, Medical Director of St. Ives Family Hospital, and of course he spoke to us today on the importance of communication in medical practice. I know you've heard it, because in fact I think from now on I'll be going to visit my doctor with full confidence like this. I don't want to hear anything, with full confidence. I will definitely go ahead to see my doctor. All right, so thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us on the program today. Today's program, Radio Doctor, is on general health, and of course it is supported by Zenith Pharmaceuticals. So thank you all so much. This is Radio Doctor on Women Radio WFM 91.7, which is Nigeria's first free consultation specialized radio health program, on which comes to you Mondays through Fridays from 10 a.m. So do well to join us again tomorrow for another edition of a Radio Doctor. And tomorrow, Thursday, of course, it's going to be for another specialized medical health. So please do well to join us by tomorrow at 10 a.m. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. A very big thank you to the producer of the program, Esther Laribe, and the executive producer, Tom Okewale Shonaya. I wish you all a very great and amazing day ahead. Good morning.
WFM 91.7.